So one former national championship winning quarterback thinks the race for Alabama's new quarterback is already over. Do we agree with him?
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama, HSA Radio Network's Luke Robinson. That's me, Alabama internet legend Jimmy Stein, and that's him. And we are so happy that you decide to join us every day, you everydayers. Thank you so much. Also, you newbies, thank you for being here today. And thanks, everybody, for making this your first listen every single day. Jimmy, Greg McElroy has come out and said Ty Simpson is firmly entrenched as Alabama's starting quarterback for next year. Okay, I don't disagree that he's entrenched. I may disagree on the firmly. And here's the thing, and I'm going to let you go on a spiel here for a second. So yesterday we did a podcast, and I didn't even think we talked very much about Ty Simpson. I don't listen to my own podcast generally unless somebody says, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And I'm like, wow, I got to hear that.
Wow, what did I say?
Yeah, I know. Good grief. The dumbest thing they've ever heard from me, that has got to be a big dumb thing. But there were some comments in the YouTube section that they said we were just absolutely, frothing at the mouth at the prospects of Ty Simpson yesterday. And I really just don't remember being that way. But it made me think this, because we've also had people tell us how much we loved, adored, worshipped Jalen Milroe, and how much
we hated Jalen Milroe.
how we hated Jalen Milroe, and how invested we've been in Keelan Russell too. We have heard it all. Like we're too high on Keelan Russell. He's too young. We don't know enough Ty Simpson. If he was so good, why wouldn't he start last year? And you guys like Jalen Milroe anyway, and you hated him, so we don't know what. And but my reasoning, I finally came to this conclusion that we all kind of have somebody in mind that we want to win this job. Like, it's nice to say, and I think you may be the only person on earth that legitimately says this and means it. I really think that's you. Like, in my head, I kind of want Keelan Russell to win it. I'm cool with Ty Simpson. I kind of want Keelan Russell to win it. I'm not against Austin Mack. I kind of want Keelan Russell to win it. But I really think Jimmy Stein, and I mean this in the most complimentary way humanly possible, I think you really are like, I kind of want just the best player to win it. Now, I think the average fan is like me. They have somebody they want to win it. And so when you suggest it's somebody else, you can't help, at least even subconsciously, feeling attacked. Mm-hmm. Like, you're telling me I'm wrong.
He doesn't like my guy. He doesn't like my guy.
Yeah. And see, there is no guy yet. So that's what's so hard for a guy like you. And again, I'm totally defending Jimmy. There are people that think I give you backhanded compliments sometimes. I'm giving you a front-handed compliment.
Oh, great.
I'm open-faced.
Well, that's what the front hand looks like.
Giving you an open-faced slap of a compliment. There was an old Saturday Night Live skit with Joe Montana in it. I don't think I can actually say some of this, but it was Phil Hartman, and I can't remember the other actress. But the whole bit of the skit was Phil Hartman and Joe Montana were roommates. But at first it was just Phil Hartman and this girl in a room. And they were like, you know how you do that little dance, that little tacit dance when you first are going out with somebody. It's like, should I make a move? Should I not make a move? And the voiceovers were playing for the audience, like what was actually going on in their heads. And well, Phil Hartman would say something like, can I get you a drink? And then the voice in his head would be like, I really want to kiss you. And then the woman would say, yes, I want a drink. And then the voice in her head would say, I really wish he'd kiss me. Well, Joe Montana walks in as the roommate. He enters the scene, and everything he says is exactly what he's thinking. He goes, guys, I'm going up to my bedroom. And then in his head, it goes, I'm going up to my bedroom. and then it was funny. And I think you're the Joe Montana in here. You're actually saying what you're thinking. Whereas Most of us are going, we don't care who wins. In my head, I'm like, I want Keelan Russell to win. All this being said, I just really believe that we all have somebody in our minds we want to win it. So when somebody like Greg McElroy comes out and says, hey, Ty Simpson's firmly entrenched, he may be right. It makes the most sense, and I think that's the easy bet. Part of me is like, you don't know that, Greg.
Yeah, right. No, man, that was a good spiel. I mean, it was there's a lot of there were some psychological message boards.
I worked in a lot of crap, didn't I?
That was a lot of psychological message board. No, what I mean is, I think that a lot of that is exactly right. People go into it with a preconceived notion over who they believe is the best quarterback or what Alabama should do. It's what they believe. My issue with that is, regardless of which one you're picking, if you're going into this going, Ty should be the starter, Keelan should be the starter, Austin Mack should be the starter. If you're going in strongly believing that, I would just say, you're not at practice. You're not with the guys every day. You're not there grading every rep in practice. Like, that's literally done. They literally do that. And these guys have been around football for a long time, and they're all highly paid professionals at what they do. And their literal jobs depend on picking the right guy. Their job. Our emotions, we have an emotional investment in that. It's an emotional thing. Their literal lives are invested in it, and I'm not saying that means we shouldn't have an opinion. The opinions are what makes this show fun. The opinions are what makes it fun to interact with other Alabama fans. The opinions are fun in terms of why being a sports fan is so important to all of us that are listening to the show. I just have a little more trust in the staff, to pick the right guy. I've been to practice a few times. I've seen it. I kind of know how it works. I just trust those guys. Now, what you said is true. I do want the best quarterback to win the job, and whoever the staff picks, I believe, is almost always the right guy. But I do have my little biases too. I would like to see Ty win the job myself, just because I think it's his turn. A giant thing for me in terms of my biases and prejudices have changed a lot over the years when it comes to this. Years ago, Luke, even going back to me and you being friends years ago, the earlier versions of me, I wanted the younger guy to win the job every time, because it made so much logical sense to me that if it's close, go with the younger guy because you got him longer and he's going to get better and better the more he plays. And it's more exciting to go with the young guy, the shiny new toy. That was the younger me. The older me, though, has realized something about investing in the team, and that is, it truly is the older guy's turn. It's his turn. And he was the shiny new toy thing also at one point. We just kind of get into whoever's the newer one. But I am for the older guy more often, just because he's patiently waited his turn. And it's his team. It's his guys. It's his locker room. He's been there 4 years. It's his locker room. I think teams belong to the seniors. Teams don't belong to the freshmen. Now, that said, getting back to your original point, which I do agree, I want the best guy to be the quarterback. I want Alabama to win the games. That's more fun for me. That's my favorite team. I want Alabama to win the games. That means I want them to play the best quarterback, whoever that is. Do I have a natural inclination or bias? Yeah, usually to the older guy. And in this case, it's Ty.
Yeah. And just like you said, it's the coach's job to pick the right guy, and therefore their livelihoods depend on it. In a way, our livelihoods depend on the coaches not making a decision, because it makes for more interesting talk. Right?
That is true.
So, I mean, this is a sort of a catch-22 sort of thing going on.
Yeah, that's the weird part of our job, where you wake up and you go, oh, Val Kilmer died. Well, we could talk about that on the show.
Oh my God. That I'm going to tell y'all something. Look,
you know what I mean? That's a terrible thing. I was like, oh, Val Kilmer died. Should we mention this?
I'm also going to tell y'all this hot take right before a break. Hot take, super hot take. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go see this immediately. Val Kilmer's best movie is Top Secret.
It was, yeah. I mean,
it is.
He is fantastic and real genius. which was made about the same time.
When Val Kilmer was talking to the scientist that had been kidnapped, and they said, "Why'd you kidnap me?" He said, "I was working on a desalinization project. Do you know what that could mean for all the destitute people of the world?" He said, "Yeah, there'd be enough salt for everybody." I mean, that is unbelievably funny and ahead of its time. And it's an 80s movie.
I love Val Kilmer way before Top Gun. Top Gun is what made him literally a household name. But to me, he was in my household before that because of Top Secret and Real Genius.
One more thing, and I know it's off topic, and I know they hate it when we do this. I'm going to do it anyway. Stop me if I've already talked about this. On the plane going to the Dominican, they had a bunch of movies. One of the movies was Friday. And I told my kids who were born in the mid 2000s, watch this movie. Y'all haven't seen it. And they were like, "Dad, nobody's watching some movie from the 90s. I said, "It's pop culture. It's important." I said, "You know how people say bye Felicia all the time? This is why. You need to know this." And they didn't watch it. And I was mad at them. And then I said, "You're going to watch it on the way back. You know, good Lord willing and the creek don't rise. You're watching it on the way back." And well, it wasn't on the movie selection list on the way back, so they still haven't seen it. I am really, really upset about this. Friday is a classic that must be watched to understand pop culture, and it's important.
That's Locked On going, quit telling these stories.
I know. Well, Locked On is tapped in. All right, I'm stopped. You're so right. Probably also several of our
I love that. I'm interested because Val Kilmer was my favorite actor in Friday.
Get the supplies you need from the site made for skilled trades, and that's Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400 plus brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast. And I'm talking about from coast to coast. They also have their free Trademaster program, and it offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Join the Trademaster program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. BOL had a good story about 5 potential visitors coming up very, very shortly that are all pretty big names. And I really like these names. And it is ironic that 2 of these names are tight ends because honest to God, Jimmy, I know there's plenty of empirical and factual and verbiage evidence that written evidence that we are doing more than this. Sometimes it feels like we're only recruiting tight ends and defensive backs. That being said, it's so funny to me yesterday because I don't mean to complain about it, but I kind of do complain. I think the fascination with tight ends is a little overboard, but Marshall Pritchett is out for the rest of the spring. Maybe we're on to something.
I know we need to recruit tight ends to show up now. I mean, tight end, if there's a portal position that I won't be surprised that Alabama's a little aggressive about, it's probably the tight end spot this spring, just because, I mean, first of all, what's happening at tight end right now, some of that's going to be rectified as time moves on because you get Danny Lewis back, you'll get Marshall Pritchett back. Caleb Edwards isn't here yet. That's been a factor. One of the freshman signees is a summer arrival. He's not here yet. So Alabama is in need of a tight end now, but they're recruiting a bunch of them. What does that say? To me, it says, A, they want to sign 2 and not just 1. I mean, normally when you want to sign 1 tight end a year for sure. So you really narrow that down to about 5 or 6 guys and you hope to get 1. Alabama's recruiting a lot more than 5 or 6 guys, which tells me that they want 2, because you wouldn't really want more than that in one class. So they want 2. If you want 2 tight ends, generally the little trade secret is you want 2 different guys, right? You want someone who's a block first guy that will teach him how to catch a ball. And then secondly, you want a tight end who can catch the ball. You're like, well, we'll get him bigger and stronger and teach him to block. And if you're like, No. Why don't you get one that's good at both? Okay, that's like 3 guys in the whole country that are excel at both, and they're 5-star types. They're extremely hard to sign, and of course, Alabama's trying to sign a guy like that. Good example being Mark Bowman. But Kaden Prothro is on campus today, as we record this Wednesday. Kaden Prothro, I think he's a top 3 tight end nationally. I love him. It is a great tight end group, Luke, which is hey, your camera went to just you instead of just me. I think you wanted it the other way. Now the camera's all over the place.
What did I do?
You went to just you adjusting the camera screen, which is interesting.
I was trying to type something to look up something, and I guess I hit something on my Apple.
Well, back to Kaden Prothro, who, by the way, on campus today. I'm a big fan. You know, one good thing, we said Alabama's recruiting a lot of tight ends, right? The good news is this is a great tight end group nationally. There is a lot of good tight ends. I'm excited about Mack Sutter, who might be leaning to Alabama. I think Steve Wiltfong from On3 has predicted that Mack will eventually sign with Alabama. That will be a big deal. Kaden Prothro, just as good as Mack. I mean, this is a national elite top 100 type prospect. Alabama's got a great shot here. I think Prothro's been to campus several times, which is always a sign that you're looking for. Like, you know, a BOL, if you're going to make an RPM, that's one of the things they sort of track. I mean, how many times has the guy come to campus? That's a big deal. Obviously, the tight end Alabama would love to sign most is Mark Bowman. I've compared him on this show to Brock Bowers. That's like comparing a quarterback to, you know, Johnny Unitas or something. I mean, you know, it's a big deal to say, hey, this tight end reminds me of Brock Bowers, who I think is the best college tight end I've ever seen. I think Mark Bowman is comparable to Brock as a prospect. So that's who you would really like. He's going to be really tough to sign. Kaden Prothro and Mack Sutter. These are not backup plans. These are not consolation prizes. These are potential high picks in the NFL draft in a few years. These are great tight end prospects. But anyway, Prothro is one that's on campus today. And I think there's another tight end that's pretty highly rated coming in also. I think he's on Bones' list of top 5. Check that out on BOL.
Xavier Tiller.
Yeah. He's more of a, I call Prothro elite. I think Tiller's more, really he's a blue chip. He's a blue chip. You know, again, I distinguish between top 100 and top 250. Prothro would be like top 100 type guy. I think this other kid's more like top 250, which is still a big deal.
Another guy who's going to be in Friday, April 4th is Wilson Zirer. Now, if I'm not mistaken, he had a brother that played for Auburn recently.
Really?
Yeah.
That could be.
Yeah, he's locked in officials with Auburn, Georgia, North Carolina, and Pitt. He's unranked right now. It doesn't mean he's not good. It just means he's unranked right now. And one other guy is our favorite quarterback of this class, and that's Derek Zammit. I'm Derek Zammit. I guess that's better than being Zarek Dammit, isn't it? But
I think Derek Zammit probably is the number one goal at quarterback for Alabama right now in terms of what's realistic and how good he is. And gosh, it's a pet peeve thing for me. I saw a guy going, well, it makes sense that the year after signing a Keelan Russell, you would sign, you know, a sleeper type guy. This kid is ranked 11th in the country by ESPN. When has the 11th ranked quarterback in the country not been considered a big deal? And I'm not saying he's 11 overall, and who knows how the rankings will work out. I think, you know, a year ago at this time, Keelan Russell wasn't number 1 or 2. As a matter of fact, there was some in the fan base the day Keelan Russell committed going, why are we taking this guy? And it's, again, because people look at the rankings like they're finished and they're in the first quarter of a 4-quarter game. You know, I don't know where Derek Zammit will end up being ranked, but I know ESPN's done some work on him, and they have him 11th in the country. So Derek Zammit, signing a quarterback ranked that high the year after you sign a 5-star plus like Keelan Russell would be a great outcome. And plus, Zammit is a guy that you get in and that you develop. Alabama doesn't need a quarterback to come in the 27 class and the 26 class and be, hey, we need a 26 starter at quarterback. That's just not the case.
Case in point, Derek Zammit right now, according to, depends on who you listen to, some people think Alabama would lead if they push really hard. Some people believe Washington leads. Some people believe Mississippi State leads because they've been on him the longest. Now, my bet is, and again, this is Bama-rific Luke chiming in, going, if you're four, and his other option is Syracuse. If your four options are Washington, Bama, Mississippi State, and Syracuse, and all of them want you, it's a no-brainer. But maybe he's in New Jersey. Maybe Syracuse holds some allure there. Mississippi State's been on the longest. And, anyway.
Well, I think, one counterpoint to that is I agree. I mean, who's the best football program between those four and where's he likely to win? It's Alabama. But I will point out that Jeff Lebby at Mississippi State is a great quarterback coach and has a national reputation for being a great QB coach. As a matter of fact, Jeff Lebby loving Derek Zammit is one of the many reasons I'm really high on Derek Zammit. I'm one of those, hey, if Lebby likes him, I'm interested. Lebby is really good. Lebby spent time at Oklahoma recruiting quarterbacks as well as anybody in the country. And he also worked for Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss, who knows a thing or two about quarterbacks. So I'm not saying you should piggyback on Mississippi State quarterback evals, but I'm saying I do care what Jeff Lebby's opinion of a quarterback prospect is. I think we all should. Washington also, I think Fish, he had that good quarterback at Arizona, and it's not crazy to me that Washington would be a thing for a quarterback who's not Ohio State, Texas, Georgia type guy.
And I also respect Jeff Lebby a lot. I think he's an excellent quarterback coach, and I think he's an offensive coordinator, and I think he's going to be another excellent quarterback coach and offensive coordinator when he's fired after next year. So
that was harsh, and I don't disagree.
That was both.
Not disagreeing. I'm saying it's harsh. I'm not saying I disagree.
It was both front-handed and backhanded comment. I managed to work.
Complimented him with the front hand and whacked him with the backhand. But
I
think that's a tough job. And let me tell you about Lebby and his personality. How quiet has Starkville been since they hired Jeff Lebby? Things are too quiet
Jimmy,
there.
If you had asked
you know what I mean?
Who Mississippi, I follow football every day. If you had asked me who Mississippi State's quarterback was, you know who Jeff Lebby is right now? If you ever watched Arrested Development, and when George Michael was dating a girl named Ann, and nobody could ever remember who she was.
Nobody could ever remember who she was. Yeah.
They go, her? Like, I'd go, who's it? Who's it? That's
their biggest problem there by far. And again, people listen to the show will say, you idiot, it's so-and-so. I can't name their defensive who's Mississippi State's star defensive player? I've been able to name that for 3 decades.
For years.
I don't know. I can't name anything. I don't know what's happening on their defense at all. And it used to be, Mississippi State's defense used to be just a step below the most elite defenses in the SEC. They got a little bit of them. It's a mess over there to me.
Now Mississippi State is dating George Michael.
And you'd mean George Michael on Arrested Development.
Yeah. Well, either way.
Not the deceased.
Either way, it's not entertainer. All right. Have you ever checked your bank account and wondered, hey, where'd all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO, that's Chief Financial Officer, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just another budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So you just stop managing your money and start building your wealth. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever, too. You can track shared or personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year with Monarch Money. Couple of random things here. First of all, the baseball team wins again last night, and the softball team wins last night.
Twice.
Again, lesser competition, and it was tighter than it probably should have been. But in midweek games, it always is. Take a win where you get a win, bro.
Yeah, you don't pitch your frontline guy. The other team rarely is too, but the depth of pitching is sort of a big deal. I mean, who you pitch. I mean, if you start your Friday night starter against Alabama State and Sanford, you should probably win. But most teams, you're pitching your fourth or fifth starter, and Ailey Johnson's really struggling for Alabama softball as a pitcher. She started that first game against Alabama State, even got knocked around by them. So she's in a pitching slump. Alabama baseball looked fantastic early against Sanford, then gave up 7 runs in 1 inning once they got into the bullpen. So, hey, there's always things to work on. And like we talk about baseball, softball's getting there, not what baseball's like. But there's a lot of good baseball players all over the place. And when an Alabama plays a Sanford, there's dudes on Sanford that can hit Alabama pitching because there's just a lot of good players out there.
Corey Chest looking good for Alabama, the transfer from LSU. Tim Watts dropped somewhat of a Watts bomb yesterday saying that, hey, it may not be a foregone conclusion LeBaron Phylon goes pro. He's not saying he's staying. He's saying it might not be over. I would still be shocked based on what little I know, but it's not crazy.
I think my prediction with Phylon, and it's prediction based on some level of inside stuff, but I think he's not going to leave Alabama. He's going to say, I'm entering the draft process, but I'm retaining my college eligibility or whatever that standard statement is. And then he's going to go to the NBA draft process, but he's going to be told that you're an extremely likely first round pick. So he's going to stay in the draft and then go somewhere in the 20s. And again, I'm not going to complain about this at all. I mean, if you can be a first round pick and get that guaranteed contract, on the one hand, you'd be foolish not to do it. But I'll have a cautionary tale after it all happens, because to be honest, I'm not sure it's in his full best personal interest. I'm not being a selfish Alabama fan. I'm being a LeBaron Phylon fan. I'm not sure it's in his best personal interest to go pro, even though if it means leaving that guaranteed money on the table.
Because it's not, here's the other thing. It's not like he gets nothing if he comes back to Alabama. And the chances that he improves his stock, I would say, are higher than his stock drops. I mean, in this potential, a lot of times, like, I don't think Cooper Flagg could do anything but hurt his stock because he's going number 1. But see, LeBaron Phylon's probably going in the 20s. And my bet is his stock would rise rather than fall. It is a gamble, but he would still be making money. Yeah. So I get it.
To me, it's not so much about stock and physical ability, because here's an extreme example, but this is what I'm talking about. Spoiler alert for my rant on LeBaron Phylon probably sometime in late May. Ryan Williams. If Ryan Williams was able to come out and be in this draft today, and Ryan Williams did that, he would be drafted. As a matter of fact, he might be drafted in the first round right now, because they would see the long term, and he's talented enough. And Ryan Williams can play in NFL games next Sunday and get open and catch balls. But should Ryan Williams enter the NFL now? No. I would even say double hockey sticks. No. He shouldn't be in the NFL right now. He's not ready for that. He's too young. He's 18 years old. He needs to mature. Not that he's immature. He's actually extremely mature for his age. Don't go pro because you can go pro, and Ryan could. Well, I mean, not within the rules, but physically he could. Go pro when you're ready to be a full-time professional athlete. That's 24 hours a day. It's 7 days a week. It's 365 days a year. It means you're a pro. LeBaron, I think you should be a college kid for a while and develop your skills and mature and age. Too many players have ruined their careers by going pro early. Almost no one ruins their careers by staying in college longer. Almost no one. But lots of players ruin it because they enter professional sports before they're emotionally ready to handle being a 40-year-old adult when you're 19 years old.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, that's going to do it for today's podcast. We'll be back tomorrow with more. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll tide.